The truth is this: the 144,000 are not chosen by chance. They are shaped, carved, and refined through experiences that most people never go through. Their lives follow a pattern, an unmistakable spiritual blueprint. And once you see these signs, you can never unsee them again. These 11 signs are not predictions. They are revelations. Mirrors held up to the souls who have been marked long before they understood what was happening to them. If you recognize yourself here, it is not a coincidence. It is a calling. 1. A lifelong sense of separation. Chosen ones never fully blend in. Even as children, they feel slightly disconnected from the world around them. Not because they are antisocial or difficult, but because their spirit vibrates on a different frequency. They observe what others participate in. They sense what others ignore. They carry insights that people their age were never meant to understand. This separation is not loneliness, it is preparation. God isolates before he elevates. The 144,000 often grow up feeling misunderstood by family, peers, or community. Their inner world is far richer than they can explain. While others chase acceptance, chosen ones gravitate toward truth. This sign alone reveals the trajectory of their entire life. 2. Crushing periods of suffering that break and rebuild you. Every chosen one goes through intense seasons of suffering. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Why? Because their spirit must be tempered like steel. The 144,000 endure betrayals that cut deeply, losses that shake their core, and battles that nearly destroy them. Their pain is not random, it is sculpting. It is the spiritual training ground where their character is purified. They experience cycles of sudden endings, unexpected attacks, deep emotional wounds, spiritual deserts, false accusations, abandonment by those they trusted. But every time they fall, they rise with a strength that does not come from this world. Their scars are not evidence of weakness, they are evidence of assignment. 3. A prophetic sensitivity that cannot be explained. Chosen ones see things before they happen. They feel shifts before they occur. They sense people's intentions the moment they walk into a room. This is not imagination, it is spiritual radar. Their intuition is too sharp to ignore and too accurate to be dismissed. They pick up on energies, motives, and situations with a clarity that often surprises them. They may dream of events that later unfold. They may get sudden warnings that protect them from danger. This sensitivity is part of their divine wiring. It is why they cannot be easily deceived. It is also why they outgrow people quickly, they simply see too much. 4. A heart that cannot tolerate injustice or falsehood. Chosen ones carry a purity of conscience that is uncommon. They cannot sit in environments where lies, manipulation, or cruelty are normalized. Something within them revolts against dishonesty. They feel compelled to speak truth even when their voice shakes. They stand up for others even when no one stands with them. This inner moral fire is not self-righteousness. It is their divine DNA. The 144,000 are born to restore balance, to push back against corruption, and to shine light in dark places. Their spirit simply refuses to tolerate injustice. 5. Repeated spiritual attacks since childhood. Chosen ones attract attacks, spiritual, emotional, and sometimes physical, because of who they are and what they carry. Their destiny is threatening. Their potential is dangerous. The enemy recognizes them long before they recognize themselves. This is why the 144,000 often face nightmares during childhood, oppression or heavy spiritual presence, unexplained fear or anxiety, dark patterns in their family line, sabotage at the brink of breakthrough. But attacks only confirm identity. Pressure proves purpose. The enemy does not waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. 6. Rapid growth after deep spiritual awakenings. There comes a moment in the life of every chosen one when everything changes. A moment when the veil lifts. When the world suddenly looks different. When they feel an internal shift they cannot explain. This awakening can be triggered by a major personal loss, a near-death experience, a strange dream, a supernatural encounter, a season of total isolation. After this awakening, their growth accelerates rapidly. They begin to see their life differently. They detach from old patterns, release toxic environments, and seek a deeper purpose. They become hungry for truth, truth about themselves, about the world, and about God. This is the moment many realize. I was never meant to live an ordinary life. 7. A spiritual authority that makes others uncomfortable. The 144,000 carry a presence. Not loud, not aggressive, but undeniable. People feel it. Animals sense it. Children gravitate toward it. Negative individuals fear it. Some people will dislike you instantly, without reason. Others will respect you without knowing why. This is spiritual authority. It is the residue of the divine. Chosen ones carry a light that exposes what others try to hide. This is why some people avoid them. It's not personal. Their spirit is reacting to your truth. Your presence confronts their darkness. 8. Cycles of divine protection that defy logic. The chosen should not have survived some of the things they went through. But they did. They have walked through situations that would have destroyed other people. They escaped dangers that were meant to end them. They were pulled out of disasters, just in time, too many times for coincidence. Doors opened for them that weren't supposed to open. Help came from unexpected places. Paths cleared in ways that made no sense. This is not luck. This is divine protection. The 144,000 are shielded because their mission is not complete. 9. A restlessness that cannot be satisfied by the world. Chosen ones cannot numb their spirit with worldly pursuits. Nothing external can fill the internal pull they feel. They often try. Relationships, careers, material success, recognition, comfort, but something always feels missing. Their spirit refuses to settle. Their soul knows they are meant for something higher. Their heart keeps pulling them toward destiny. This holy restlessness is not a curse. It is the compass pointing them toward their calling. 10. A deep love for humanity, even after being hurt. Despite everything they've endured, despite the betrayals, despite the wounds, despite the disappointments, chosen ones still love. Their heart does not harden. It deepens. They have an unusual capacity for compassion. They understand pain, so they become healers. They understand loneliness, so they become comforters. They understand spiritual hunger, so they become guides. Their love is not weakness, it is evidence of divine refinement. The 144,000 are warriors with soft hearts. 11. A sudden acceleration into purpose. At some point, the chosen experience a shift, almost overnight. Things begin aligning. Opportunities appear. Clarity increases. Their voice strengthens. Their influence expands. Their entire life starts making sense. Every storm, preparation. Every betrayal, direction. Every wound, activation. Every loss, awakening. This final sign marks the beginning of their true assignment. It is the moment they step into who they were always meant to be. Not followers, not wanderers, not survivors, but leaders, beacons, guides, carriers of light, servants of the divine purpose sealed long before they were born. If these signs resonate, it is not imagination. It is confirmation. The 144,000 are rising, not as prophets of doom but as bearers of truth. Not as elite, but as servants. Not to rule over others, but to awaken those still sleeping. They walk quietly, but their impact is loud. They stand alone, but they influence many. They suffer deeply, but they heal others. They carry wounds, but they shine anyway. If your spirit feels stirred reading this, if something inside you whispers, "This is me," then perhaps you are one of them. Not because you chose it, but because God did. And once God chooses a soul, the world cannot unchoose it. Your journey is not random. Your suffering is not meaningless. Your awakening is not accidental. You are being prepared. You are being positioned. You are being refined. The signs were always there. Now you finally see them. And once a chosen one sees, they never go back to sleep. The truth is, once a chosen one begins to recognize these patterns in their own life, something shifts internally. Not in an arrogant way, not in a prideful way, but in a deeply sobering way. They begin to understand that their experiences were not random punishments or unlucky circumstances, they were divine shaping. Everything they endured, every setback, every strange spiritual event, every wave of isolation, was a strategic part of their transformation. Yet, even after awakening, the path is not easy. The chosen ones must learn to walk with awareness, restraint, and humility. They are called to influence the world, but influence does not come from noise, it comes from depth. It comes from the hidden work within the soul that happens when no one is watching. Chosen ones often find themselves craving silence and solitude more than ever before. Not because they reject people, but because they finally understand the value of being alone with God. Their inner world becomes sacred ground. Their spirit becomes their home. Their intuition becomes their compass. The noise of the world grows louder, but their soul grows even quieter. This quietness is not emptiness, it is clarity. In silence, they receive instructions. In stillness, they gain vision. In isolation, they discover purpose. Many chosen ones begin to realize that they cannot afford to live like the world lives anymore. They cannot engage in meaningless conversations, shallow relationships, or destructive environments. Their spirit rejects anything that lowers their vibration or dims their inner light. They become selective, not out of superiority but out of necessity. The chosen ones learn that not everyone can stay in their life. Some people were meant only to teach a lesson, trigger an awakening, or reveal a truth. Once that purpose is complete, the universe rearranges relationships in ways that sometimes feel painful. People leave, situations end, connections fade, but what remains is destiny. This pruning is essential. The chosen ones cannot step into their calling while carrying unnecessary weight. They cannot run their race while dragging those who were never meant to walk with them. They cannot become who they are destined to be if they stay attached to those who prefer who they used to be. Their evolution requires release. And release, for a chosen one, often feels like spiritual surgery, necessary but painful. As the chosen ones mature spiritually, they begin to sense the war around them. Not the physical world, but the invisible one. They start to notice how their emotions shift suddenly when they enter certain environments. They notice how their energy gets drained when they speak with certain individuals. They notice how spiritual heaviness increases during specific times. This is not paranoia, it is heightened awareness. Their spirit perceives what others are blind to. They realize that they are not just living life, they are navigating a battlefield. The attacks they face intensify the moment they step into awareness. Darkness hates awakening. The enemy hates clarity. The moment a chosen one understands who they are, forces that have been watching them from childhood begin to move. They attempt to distract, discourage, or destabilize. They try to introduce confusion. They attack the mind first, whispering lies that contradict the truth of their identity. You're not chosen. You're imagining things. You're not special. You're too broken. You're too sinful. You've failed too many times. But chosen ones learn to recognize these voices for what they are, attempts to derail them from their calling. Because the enemy knows something crucial, a chosen one who fully realizes who they are becomes unstoppable. Their past cannot break them. Their wounds cannot silence them. Their failures cannot define them. Their isolation cannot limit them. Their doubts cannot imprison them. Once awakened, the chosen ones become warriors. Not by force, but by understanding. Their strength is spiritual, not physical. Their power is internal, not external. Their resilience is supernatural, not learned. They begin to walk with a quiet confidence, a steadiness that comes from knowing they are protected, guided, and supported by a higher hand. Even when they face storms, they do not panic the way others do. There is a calmness within them that defies logic. A stillness that radiates through their actions. A trust that anchors their soul. Chosen ones also begin to understand the importance of spiritual boundaries. They stop giving their energy to everyone. They stop explaining themselves to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They stop trying to convince others of their worth. They stop participating in cycles that drain their spirit. They learn to preserve their light. This preservation is essential, because chosen ones are targets of spiritual envy. Many people are secretly intimidated by their presence, even when the chosen ones have done nothing but exist. Their energy exposes insecurities. Their authenticity threatens falsehood. Their inner strength triggers hidden weakness. So chosen ones become familiar with the sting of silent resentment, secret jealousy, and unprovoked hostility. They learn that not all enemies announce themselves. Some hide behind smiles. Some hide behind compliments. Some hide behind friendship. The chosen one's spirit sees through these masks even when their mind tries to give people the benefit of the doubt. Their discernment is both a gift and a burden. Yet, despite this heightened awareness, chosen ones do not become cynical. They do not lose their ability to love. If anything, they love even deeper, but more wisely. They learn how to give without being drained. They learn how to help without losing themselves. They learn how to forgive without reopening the door to those who harmed them. Wisdom becomes their shield. Compassion becomes their armor. As chosen ones step further into their calling, they begin to feel a strange pull, an inner instruction to separate, observe, and rise. They may not understand it at first, but eventually they recognize it as divine guidance. Their spirit is being aligned with a higher timetable. The universe rearranges everything around them to prepare them for their next level. Opportunities appear that were impossible before. Ideas flow effortlessly. Connections form naturally. Doors open without force. Synchronicities increase. Intuition becomes louder. Clarity intensifies. It begins to feel like the chosen one is being carried by an invisible current, led, instructed, guided. Their steps become purposeful. Their choices become intentional. Their mindset transforms. They no longer live reactively, they live prophetically. And then, something extraordinary happens. Their past begins to make sense. Every heartbreak becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes a redirection. Every loss becomes a purification. Every betrayal becomes a revelation. Every delay becomes divine timing. The chosen one begins to see how each piece fit together, how every season was necessary, how every pain shaped their spirit, and how every challenge refined their character. What once felt unfair now feels strategic. What once felt heavy now feels meaningful. Their story was never random, every chapter was written for a purpose. And then, the chosen one arrives at a deeper realization: they were never alone. Even in the darkest moments, even when they felt abandoned, even when they had no one to turn to, even when the world was silent, God was present. Guiding, protecting, watching, preparing. Chosen ones often reflect on their survival and realize that they were carried through situations they were not strong enough to survive on their own. Something lifted them. Something shielded them. Something whispered to them. Something kept them alive. This something is not abstract. It is the divine hand that guards the 144,000. As their awareness deepens, chosen ones also begin to understand their mission, not fully at first, but piece by piece. They are here to awaken, to heal, to guide, to uplift, to shift consciousness. They are here to bring clarity in a world drowning in confusion. They are here to illuminate paths in a generation lost in darkness. They are here to anchor hope in times of spiritual famine. Their mission is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is not applauded by the world. It is sacred. Some chosen ones are called to speak. Some are called to serve. Some are called to heal. Some are called to teach. Some are called to protect. Some are called to break generational curses. Some are called to restore spiritual balance. Some are called to awaken sleeping souls. Each chosen one carries different gifts, but they all share the same source. Their presence is a message. Their resilience is a testimony. Their survival is a prophecy. Their journey is a blueprint. As they rise, chosen ones become increasingly aware of the responsibility that comes with their identity. Being chosen is not about superiority, it is about service. It is about surrendering ego. It is about living with integrity, humility, and love. It is about embodying truth, even when it is inconvenient. It is about carrying light, even when the world prefers darkness. The chosen do not shine to be seen. They shine to help others see. But perhaps the most beautiful transformation happens internally. Chosen ones learn to trust their own voice. Their spirit becomes their teacher. Their intuition becomes their guide. Their heart becomes their sanctuary. They no longer seek validation from others. They no longer fear rejection. They no longer hide their gifts. They step fully into themselves. Their authenticity becomes their weapon. Their energy becomes their language. Their truth becomes their shield. Their sensitivity becomes their power. And as they continue to evolve, the chosen begin to feel something profound: peace. Not the fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but the divine peace that surpasses understanding. A peace that settles deep into the soul. A peace that nothing external can shake. A peace that comes only when a soul recognizes its place in the universe. This peace does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges still come. Attacks still happen. But the chosen one walks differently now. They walk with awareness. They walk with purpose. They walk with spiritual authority. They walk knowing they are guided, chosen, protected, and aligned. Their journey becomes less about surviving and more about fulfilling. And through all of this, the chosen one discovers the greatest revelation of all. The calling was not just to be chosen, it was to become. Become the light. Become the truth. Become the strength. Become the guide. Become the vessel. The world does not shape them anymore. They shape the world. As chosen ones continue moving deeper into their spiritual identity, they begin to notice that their connection to the unseen world becomes stronger. Their dreams become more vivid. Their intuition becomes more precise. Their inner knowing becomes impossible to ignore. They start sensing things before they happen, not in a dramatic or fantastical way, but in a quiet, undeniable certainty that rises from within. This inner guidance becomes one of their most powerful gifts. It is as if their spirit has grown eyes of its own. They begin to trust their instincts, recognizing that every warning, every nudge, and every sudden feeling carries meaning. They stop dismissing their intuition as imagination and start honoring it as communication. With this heightened awareness comes responsibility. Chosen ones must learn discernment, understanding not only what they feel, but why they feel it. They must distinguish between fear and intuition, between emotion and spiritual insight, between anxiety and divine nudges. This learning process is delicate, requiring patience and honesty with oneself. Over time, chosen ones become masters of reading the unseen. They notice patterns others overlook. They sense spiritual climates before stepping into a room. They can feel when a person's heart is open or closed, when someone's intentions are pure or deceptive, when a situation carries blessing or danger. Their life becomes a journey of observation, reflection, and revelation. And as their discernment sharpens, they begin to understand something crucial: their presence is not meant for every environment. Chosen ones often don't realize how rare their spirit actually is. They don't see themselves the way others do. They think they are ordinary, when in reality they carry a frequency that affects every space they enter. Their energy shifts atmospheres. Their words break illusions. Their insight unsettles the spiritually asleep. They start to withdraw, not from fear, but from wisdom. They become careful with who they share their truth with. They become cautious with their vulnerabilities. They guard their dreams, their revelations, their spiritual experiences. They learn that not everyone can understand what they see. Not everyone can handle the weight of their awareness. Not everyone deserves access to their inner world. This selective openness is not selfishness, it is spiritual stewardship. Chosen ones carry knowledge that can awaken others, but they also carry truths that must be protected. Speaking too freely can invite ridicule, misunderstanding, or unnecessary conflict. So the chosen learn to measure their words carefully. They speak only when guided. They reveal only what is helpful. They share only with those who have ears to hear. And yet, despite the caution, chosen ones still radiate wisdom naturally. They do not need to preach, convince, or force. Their mere presence teaches. Their silence instructs. Their kindness heals. Their perspective enlightens. Their resilience inspires. People often approach them for guidance without knowing why. Strangers open up to them easily. Friends seek their advice instinctively. The broken are drawn to their energy like moths to light. It is as if the world senses they carry something ancient, something trustworthy, something sacred. This calling to guide others often appears long before the chosen one feels ready. They may feel unqualified, unsure, or overwhelmed by the responsibility. But guidance is not something they do, it is something they embody. Their life itself becomes a lesson. Their survival becomes testimony. Their growth becomes inspiration. Chosen ones eventually understand that they are not meant to save everyone. They are not meant to fix the world. They are meant to illuminate paths so others can walk them. They are meant to plant seeds, not control the harvest. They are meant to ignite sparks, not carry every flame. This realization brings balance to their compassion. It helps them differentiate between helping and rescuing, between supporting and sacrificing themselves. They learn to give without depleting their own spirit. They learn that their mission is not to carry people, but to awaken them. As they evolve, chosen ones also grow increasingly sensitive to spiritual cycles. They feel when a season is ending. They sense when a chapter is closing. They know when it is time to move on, even if they don't know where they are going next. Their soul becomes aligned with divine timing, and everything in their life begins to unfold in rhythm with that timing. Sometimes, this leads to sudden changes. Jobs end abruptly. Friendships dissolve unexpectedly. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. Paths open that were previously blocked. Things that once felt stable suddenly fall apart, making room for better alignment. These shifts can feel unsettling, but chosen ones eventually recognize them as divine orchestration, not chaos but rearrangement. Their life becomes a story written by a higher hand. Their only task is to trust the unfolding. But trust does not mean ease. Even the most awakened chosen ones face moments of uncertainty, doubt, and spiritual exhaustion. They are not immune to fear, loneliness, or emotional struggle. They experience what every human experiences: pain, heartbreak, confusion. But the difference lies in how they respond. When chosen ones fall, they rise differently. When chosen ones break, they heal differently. When chosen ones grieve, they transform through it. When chosen ones lose, they gain deeper clarity. Everything becomes spiritual material for growth. Chosen ones understand that their challenges are not punishments, they are invitations to evolve. Every hardship carries a hidden lesson. Every setback contains a hidden upgrade. Every closed door redirects them toward a better one. Their perspective becomes their greatest source of strength. As they continue walking this path, chosen ones experience something extraordinary. Their heart begins to change. It softens in some ways and strengthens in others. Old wounds begin to close. Past fears begin to dissolve. Inner peace becomes more consistent. Their trust in divine guidance becomes unshakable. Forgiveness becomes easier. Letting go becomes natural. Healing becomes instinctual. Loving becomes effortless. This transformation is not shallow, it is profound. They no longer carry the emotional heaviness that once weighed them down. They no longer cling to past identities that no longer serve them. They no longer force connections that break their spirit. They no longer rely on external validation. Their worth becomes internal, rooted in truth rather than perception. Eventually, chosen ones reach a level of awareness where everything becomes connected. They see patterns in their life that were invisible before. They understand that people appear for reasons, seasons, or lessons. They realize that their soul has been orchestrated through lifetimes of preparation. They start to sense that their calling extends beyond the material world. They begin to understand their role in the collective awakening of humanity. This is the moment when their mission activates fully. Their gifts intensify. Their voice becomes clearer. Their courage strengthens. Their spiritual authority expands. They step into alignment with their higher purpose. This activation is not loud, it is internal. It may not be seen by others immediately, but the chosen one feels it like a shift in the atmosphere. They begin speaking truth more boldly, not aggressively, but with a calm certainty. They begin living authentically, even if it disrupts expectations. They begin honoring their boundaries, even if people don't understand. They begin prioritizing their purpose over convenience. Their life becomes a message. The chosen also begin recognizing others like themselves, other awakened souls, other carriers of light, other hearts molded by divine fire. There is a natural resonance among them, a familiarity without explanation. They may not speak the same language, come from the same culture, or share the same background, yet their spirits recognize one another instantly. This recognition is part of the divine network forming across the world, a spiritual alignment guiding the 144,000 into position. They are scattered globally, but connected spiritually. They may never meet physically, but their missions interlock like pieces of a cosmic puzzle. And as the chosen ones rise collectively, something incredible happens. The world begins to shift. Not through force, but through transformation. Their presence brings clarity. Their influence brings healing. Their courage ignites others. Their very existence disrupts darkness. What many people fail to understand is that chosen ones are not selected because they are perfect, they are selected because they are willing. Because their hearts, despite everything, remained open. Because they chose truth over comfort. Because they chose compassion over bitterness. Because they allowed their suffering to refine them rather than destroy them. The chosen ones are not flawless, they are faithful. And faithfulness is what awakens destiny. In the deepest part of their journey, chosen ones realize that their calling is not about grandiosity or supernatural spectacle. It is about alignment. It is about obedience. It is about carrying light quietly but powerfully. It is about becoming who they were always meant to be. This realization births a new level of peace. Not passive peace, but empowered peace. A peace that strengthens their vision. A peace that anchors their purpose. A peace that cannot be stolen. With this peace comes clarity about who they are, not victims, but vessels. Not wanderers, but warriors. Not lost souls, but living prophecies. Their existence itself becomes a declaration that light cannot be extinguished, that purpose cannot be stolen, that divine assignment cannot be erased. And as they continue forward, the chosen ones understand something profound: they were never chosen to be admired. They were chosen to awaken, to uplift, to illuminate, to penetrate darkness with quiet strength, to guide humanity back to consciousness. Their journey is not easy. Their path is not simple. Their calling is not comfortable. But it is sacred. And deep within their spirit, they know the truth: they were made for this.